spend time looking. Right? Because it could be.
You get my estimate and you have a contractor's estimate. They are going to be different. Thank you. I know I'm getting denied, but thank you for at least explaining something.
Adjuster TV. Start messy.
So you think you could just wait until a deployment comes along to apply for this or that license? Think again. When staffing major storm events, these days IA firms will search their adjuster rosters by who has that license. So if they have a huge storm in Minnesota and you don't have a Minnesota license, you're not even going to show up in that search, which means you're not even going to be called. Fact, the busiest adjusters have the most licenses. Get a discount on your next licenses at adjusterpro.com using Adjuster TV at checkout.
You know, I did the Ninth Ward for many months. And the Ninth Ward was water. I was a wind adjuster.
Yeah.
So I didn't buy anything in the Ninth Ward. But I looked all of those people in the eye and I told them, you're not covered. And I told them why they weren't covered. And without fail, every one of those people thanked me.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and it's just back to customer service. Like you're talking.
And it doesn't take, you know, when we can kind of run off in this direction just a little bit before we talk about our first storm experiences. But it doesn't take, what people are after are that they've been heard, right?
That's
and
it.
Understood. And the number one piece of feedback I always got whenever I had, especially on denials or claims where I can only pay part of it or whatever, you know, they may say something like, we were really upset with the way the agent, you know, dealt with this, and we really didn't like the call center, and we didn't like this or that or the other. But the adjuster, we really felt that the adjuster gave us a fair shake, right? We felt that we were given a fair treatment. We weren't just treated like a number. We weren't, and I've seen this kind of feedback on other adjuster stuff, and it's probably been on mine here and there as well. But you know, what you don't want to have happen is for them to say the adjuster treated us like they already had their mind made up when they got here, right? Which, you know, and I hammer this on this channel and all my trainings. I'm like, you cannot look at the loss report and the notes or even that first phone call and make a coverage decision. You got to put your eyes on it. You cannot, and don't be like, well, you know, on the way to this one, your buddy calls you, yeah, you want to meet for lunch? Yeah, you know what? I'm headed to this one. It's going to be a denial. There's no way I'm paying for this one. I'll meet you at Taco Bell or whatever.
Oh, it's in an area there wasn't any hail.
Right.
The number one resource for damage identification books, trainings, and certifications is Hag Education. Not only that, but they provide building inspection and desk adjuster trainings and certifications for those as well. Get a discount on all books, tools, certifications, and other trainings with code AdjusterTV at checkout at HagEducation.com.
Go give that person a fair shake. You know, you have no idea. You got to keep an open mind about it, right? You know, because it could be that they, you know, the water was coming out of the drain and they thought that, you know, normally whenever it rains, they get a little wet spot on the wall over here, and that's where they think the water's coming in. And they didn't go downstairs because there was 2 feet of water, and they heard that, you know, they might get electrocuted or whatever. So they never saw where the water came in. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt on that. It came out of the drain, especially if, you know, obviously they have to have the endorsement
To sort of back up, right.
but you have to investigate the claim. And if you're going to deny a claim, you are thinking, you know, this one's probably going to be a denial. The agent told them, you know, you probably shouldn't file a claim. So where you told me, because they'll walk into their agent's office and be like, hey, you know, I have water coming to my basement. And you're just going to ask them. And sometimes the agents actually know stuff. They still want to file the claim anyway. So you go out there, spend time looking, right? Because it could be they've got a little closet somewhere, but it's got a sump pump well in it, right? That they never knew about. Or that, you know, that could have been where the water came in. You just don't know.
Well, and even if you're getting to denial, the more time you spend, the more comfortable the insured's going to be when they get denied.
Yeah.
Right? Because you actually did what you had to do and you were thorough in your inspection and that for sure.
They're not feeling like you just showed up and were like, already headed back out the door, and you walk downstairs for 2 seconds, take a couple of photos, and then walk up to the top of the stairs and say, sorry, we can't pay for it.
There is only one company that provides E&O and general liability insurance solely to the claims industry, and that's Klick. And they even have drone and cyber coverages. Download the free guide all about the different kinds of insurance that you as an adjuster should carry at cplic.net/adjustertv.
There's a huge difference between the adjuster that shows up, does his job, and says somebody will get in touch with you, and the adjuster that shows up, does his job, and then spends 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? I don't make coverage determination, but I was on your roof and I know what hail looks like. I'm not making a coverage determination.
Yeah.
So I'm going to write my report, and I'm going to write that report to replace it. Or I know what hail looks like, and when I was on your roof, I didn't see anything that looked like it was going to cause damage, like you get any leaks or anything like that. I don't make determination.
Right.
And to just explain what your findings were and how you came to where you are before you leave, so many times people will just be like, thank you. I know I'm getting denied, but thank you for at least explaining something. I can't tell you how many times my students have called and said, because they did that the insured actually called up the insurance company and said, everybody from the first phone call to the adjuster never gave me any information. He at least explained to me what was going on,
Right.
what the process is, what to expect. Once my claim goes up to the file reviewer, somebody has to review it. And then once they approve it,
Yes.
then they're going to issue a check and talk to you about it.
Yep.
So in the meantime, you might want to start looking for a contractor, right? Between my check and his check. And when you get my estimate and you have a contractor's estimate, they are going to be different.
Yep.
Don't worry about that. Nobody's trying to rip you off. Not him, not us. There's just a happy number.
Yeah.
And that's how this process works. That way, when they see all of that, they're not. And that was that lady that I was telling you about, right? Because she looked at the base service charge and I gave her $220 on the base service charge. But she didn't see what I gave her on the roof. And she was like, that's not enough to fix my roof. Well, no, it's not. That's a base service charge.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But insureds don't know how to read our estimates.
Oh.
So a little bit of explanation goes a long ways, for sure.
A couple things about that. I think that, the carriers are going to use the photo and scope. They split the roll up, right? So whereas you and I were contact to handing them a piece of paper with numbers written on it that they could take right to the bank. We used to do that, right?
Yeah.
There are still companies that do that. I know that there are. And then on the daily side, you're still the adjusters taking the lead on it, the IA in a lot of cases.
Yes. Cradle
Cat
to
side,
grave.
yeah. On the cat side, though, I think that these companies they really are shooting themselves in the foot by putting the person who shows up at the house in the position of having to say, I can't tell you what I found, or make any comment or statement about what's going on your roof. You have to wait for the desk adjuster to review my report. Well, what's your report? Say, well, I can't. I mean, that's BS, if you ask me. That's stupid.
Agreed.
For number one. But be that as it may, number two, that's the reality of things right now. And if you deviate from that, you have to find a way to say, to head that conversation off at the pass. But that doesn't take the adjuster off the hook in explaining the process. Right?
Correct.
Because it may be, like you said, nobody explains the process to the homeowner. Yeah, the F&O person didn't do it, the agent didn't do it, the photo and scope guy didn't do it, the desk adjuster didn't do it. They just call and said, hey, the total's this, you're gonna get a check. I tell people, listen, if you're doing photo and scope and the homeowner's there, this is what I'm gonna tell them the basics of the overall process, right? So you filed your claim. My part of the job here is to take a look at your house, the exteriors, the interiors, whatever's damaged, and gather measurements and gather data. That's my primary job, and then I'm going to hand it off to, the next level. But overall, this is the process, right? So once a determination has been made on whether on your claim, which is, it's like you got to dance around it, right?
Right.
Then you will receive, if they decide they're going to make a payment, then you'll receive there'll be a grand total on the claim, and then it'll be split into 2 payments based on the age. So you basically go through the depreciation conversation. The deductible will be taken off of this part, and then later on, if you get a contractor out here and they find more damage, or their estimate and our estimate don't match up, or for whatever reason, call us back and we'll work with your contractor. So you're not going to be left out in the rain.
You don't have to do it. Just call us back and
Right.
we'll work with your
Exactly.
contractor. You're not going to have to get into an argument between us and them.
Exactly. So because the thing that happens, and I think it's an absolutely dereliction of duty in part of the insurance company and the IA firms, is that the adjuster, whether they're a staff adjuster or an independent adjuster, needs to explain the process of how the claims are paid to the homeowner if they're going to get paid. Because the number of times I've gone to a homeowner's house and they've been mad from the jump, right? First phone call, oh well, we pay your money to you guys, right? That whole thing, right? And then you show up and then they're rude to you or whatever. Because here's what happened. I dig a little bit deeper. Well, sir, I guess I don't understand what's going on. You got a prior claim on here, whatever. And I can't pay for the roof because I looked at the pictures of the prior claim.
Oh my God.
And it's exactly the same as what I'm looking at right now. And they were paid for it. It was totaled.
But you never paid me enough in the first.
Right. The first check was $2,700. There's no way in the world I can get the roof done for that. Nobody explained that was just the first check.
Correct.
That they were owed $15,000.
Correct.
Right? And they just were like, oh, and then the 12 months passed and they couldn't get their replacement cost.
Correct.
Right? That's BS.
Yes.
That's absolute total
Yes.
dereliction of duty.
You want to know how to work from home as an adjuster, don't you? Click right here to get the scoop.